Hello guys, you're welcome again to another After Effects tutorials, and today I want to show you how you can create an amazing product promotion for Instagram Reels and Stories in Adobe After Effects like this one. So support me on this one. Do not forget to hit the like on the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and do not forget to turn on the notification bell, then come back. Let's get started. Now in After Effects, create a new composition. This time around, we're going to make this 9 by 16 instead of 16 by 9. That means it is going to be portrait. So we're going to make this 1080 by 1920. This is what goes for Instagram Reels, TikTok, Instagram Stories, YouTube Shorts, and all of those vertical format content. So I'm going to leave the frame rate at 30 frames per second, and then I'm going to leave the entire duration to 15 seconds. If you want more slide, you can increase the duration later. Then name your composition, and then hit OK. Select the rectangular tool. Make sure you set fill to a color and stroke to none. Then double click on the rectangular tool. It is going to create a new shape layer like this one. First, we're going to rename this BG. We have to keep everything organized at this point because we're going to have a lot of layers right here on our timeline. Then I'm going to add a fill effect to this BG layer. So I'll switch this to the effects and control window and change this color to something like blue. Select the rectangle layer, which is now our BG. Ctrl D on your keyboard to duplicate it. Now on this duplicate, we're going to change the color to somewhat like purple. On this duplicated BG layer, we're going to add a transform effect. Now on the transform effect, we're going to make skew 19. I'm going to make the skew axis to 0 by 30. I'm going to select this layer, move to 1 second forward in time, hit P on my keyboard to reveal the position properties, then hit set a keyframe by hitting the stopwatch right here. Then change the position to look somewhat like this. Go back to 0 and change the position to the top until you can no longer see the shape layer. Select your keyframes. Hit F9 on your keyboard to easy ease, or you can simply right click right here, go to keyframe assistance, then set it to easy ease. Then I'll select the last keyframe, go into my graph editor. I'm going to edit the speed graph like this. Of course, if you cannot see your speed graph, right click on this and make sure the edit speed graph right here is checked. Then let's toggle back to our timeline. Now you have a more organic flow. Yes, of course. So now I'm going to duplicate this layer again. Then I'll hit U to reveal the keyframe. Then I'll offset this last keyframe a bit forward in time. And then I will change this color to a bright yellow. Feel free to set your own color. On this one, I'm going to change the position value to make sure this goes out of the view window. So now if you preview all this together, you're going to have something like this. Beautiful. The next thing we're going to do right now is to take the pen tool, make sure you set the fill to none, then set a color. I'm going to make sure I set it to a bright yellow like the other one. So I can just simply select the background, then click on this color and copy the color code, hit OK. My pen is still active, so I'm going to go into this and paste this bright yellow. Create a path across the screen. I'm going to make the stroke width to 344. So I will expand the stroke properties right here. and then go to add and add a trim path. So what I'm going to do now is to move my time indicator until this animation is complete right here. I will set a keyframe for the end and start property on the trim path option. Then I will go back to somewhere around here and move the start to somewhat this point, and then turn the end value to 0. So I will move to the last keyframe and change the start value until I have something like this. Beautiful. So I'll select all the keyframe, go to keyframe assistant, and then easy ease. You can also hit F9 on this. So I'll switch to graph editor and edit the speed graph like this. Now you have something like this. Beautiful. So what I'm going to do now, I'll collapse the option right here. I'll select the BG, any of the two, and copy the transform effect. I'll copy the transform effect and then paste it on the stroke layer. That is going to help me transform the stroke to the same thing like I have on this. So I'm going to hit P on my keyboard and make sure I shift the position like this. Then I will select the shape layer, which is the stroke layer, and make it a child of the BG2. That way we have something like this. It moves along with everything. Beautiful. So we can also offset this keyframe to keep some things organic. So I'll select the stroke layer, Ctrl D on my keyboard to duplicate it. I'm going to take the bottom one and change the color to black. Then I'll hit P on my keyboard to offset it like this. Let me pull in so that you can see what I'm doing. I'll just offset it somewhat like this. Then on the animation, I would like the black to come first. So I'm going to offset this second one a bit, just by 2 frames. So if you play now, you have something like this. Beautiful. So I'm going to fit this back to frame. So what I'm going to do now is to switch this to the project manager and then Ctrl N on my keyboard to create a new composition. So we're going to name this a placeholder because we're going to use it to hold our product. So I'll just call it placeholder _1. So I'm going to make the resolution right here 1080 by 1500. I'll leave every other setting to be the same and then hit OK. Navigate to where we have saved our products. I'll drag and drop them into the project manager window right here. We're going to be having a lot of pre-compositions and elements on this project manager window, so we have to keep things organized right here. So what we're going to do now is to create a new folder by clicking on this folder icon right here, or right clicking and going to new folder. Then I'm going to name these images. Then the newly imported images, I'll just drag them and drop it into the folder just to keep my project manager window clean. I'll create another folder right here and name it placeholders. I'll also drag the placeholder and drag it into the newly called placeholder folder. Now we are ready to go. So I'll go back now, expand the images or products, and select my first image and drop it into the composition right here. Of course, we need to scale this down. Hit S on your keyboard and scale it down to fit. By the way, I got these images from freepik.com. It's an amazing website. You can check them out for several assets to help on your project. So I'll go back to my main composition. I'll drag and drop this placeholder one into the bottom layer just slightly above the first BG, and we're gonna have this. So I'll move my time indicator to somewhere around this point and hit P on my keyboard to reveal the position property, and then set a keyframe for the position, then move the position back to somewhere like this. I'll hold down Shift and then hit S on my keyboard to reveal the scale property and also set a keyframe for the scale. Then I'll move back in time to somewhere around here and make sure I change the scale value to somewhat a bit like this, and then shift it up. I'm going to move this up until I can no longer see the image. So I'll select all the keyframe, hit F now on your keyboard to easy ease. Select these two keyframes right here at the end, and then switch to your graph editor and pull in the speed graph like this. So if you preview now, this is what you have. You can see this image slide coming a bit late. So I'm gonna move in this until it's not coming late. Beautiful. So now it is time to add graphics text on this slide. So, but before we do that, we're gonna determine where our text should show, because if you look at Instagram Reels, TikTok videos, Instagram stories, or even YouTube shorts, at the top right here there is the system text, and at the bottom there is the channel name or Instagram name and all the description you will give your post. It's used to show at the 1/5 bottom half of the screen. So we're gonna make sure we cut that out. So I will hit Ctrl R on my keyboard to reveal the rulers. So I'm gonna drag this first ruler to determine that other space at the top. About 1/10 of the space up right here is okay. Then I'll drag another ruler again, about 1/5 down. I will leave that somewhat like this. This way we will not need to put in text where it will be distorted by the system text, because that will be useless and distracting to your viewers. So we have to keep things organized and very professional at the end, so that people will imagine that yes, time was spent on creating this Instagram promo animation. So I'm going to start creating the text. I'll place one text right here at the bottom, right here at the middle, and one at the top left corner. So let me start. I will right click on my timeline, go to new, and create a new text layer. I'll change the color to white. I'm gonna move that to this point. So I will increase the size as well. Feel free to do it the way you want it. By the way, you can follow a link in the description to download the project file if you really want this template, but you have to be a member of my YouTube channel to do that. So I'm going to leave this to this. So I'm going to follow the same principle and create 3 more text. So let's start making modification to this text. For this top text, I'm going to add a drop shadow to it. I'll switch this to FX and Control and just increase the feather. I'll move to the center text. I'll select the 90% off text. I'll select the stroke and copy the transform effect. Ctrl C on your keyboard, then select the text and Ctrl V on your keyboard to paste. That is gonna simply transform it to the way the strokes are. So at this point, you can simply just reduce the size. For the bottom one, I'm gonna just simply change the opacity to 50. I'll hit T on my keyboard and change that value to 50. So let's create some animations. So I'm gonna start with the center text. So what I'm gonna do right now is select the stroke layer, Ctrl D on my keyboard to duplicate it, then I'll move it above the 90% of text. Then I'll set the track matte to alpha matte. You see that? Beautiful. But I'm going to slow that down by offsetting the stroke layer right here. I'll set it some couple of frames forward, so that way it comes later. Beautiful. I'll fit this first. So I'll select the trendy text. I'll go to Effects and Preset panel. Just type in Basic. We're going to search for some text presets. So you see, these are simple basic 3D text preset that you can find in the After Effects preset library. So I'm going to select this first one. So I'll place my time indicator to where I want the animation to start. Just right about this point. Yes, it's okay. Then I'll just simply drag and drop it into the text layer. That is gonna automatically apply all the animation. Then if you hit U on your keyboard, you will see that this comes with some keyframes, which is this. So if you preview now, this is what you simply gonna have. So that is a bit slow. So I'm gonna close up the keyframe so that I will have it appear fast. Beautiful. So for the last text right here, I'm just gonna select it and select the bottom preset right here and also apply it to the text layer. And I'm gonna also hit U on my keyboard to reveal the keyframes. So I'll select the keyframes and arrange them to where I want them to start and end. After animating the 3 text layer, this is what we have. Feel free to explore more options. There are a lot of thousands of presets made into the library, so you can just simply search and apply and try and see, or you can check out other tutorials on how to animate text by yourself using some controls in Adobe After Effects. You can check the video on the card above that explains about how to use the After Effects itself to create your own custom text and typographic animations. Now we are done with the animation. This is basically the full slide. So we're gonna just make a duplicate of this and then create more slides from this. So to do that, we're gonna select all the layers except of course the BG layer. Then we'll Ctrl+Shift+C on the keyboard to pre-compose. Make sure you move all attributes to the new composition and name this slide _1. And you hit OK. So what you may want to do now also is to switch to the Project Manager window and create a new folder and also name it Slides. Drag and drop the slide 1 into it. We're going to duplicate this slide composition 2 more times. I'll hit Ctrl D on my keyboard twice to do that. So we now have slide 1, slide 2, and slide 3. So what we're going to do now is to arrange them into the timeline. So I'll drag slide 2 and put it just at the 3 seconds mark. I'll select the third slide, drag and drop it into the timeline and shift it to the 6 second mark. Now if you preview now, this is what you have. You have all the same, all the slides are the same. So but we're going to work on it right now. So let's start with the second slide. Double click on it to open the pre-composition. So we're going to scroll down, select this particular one, but now we need to create more placeholders so that we can replace this. So we're going to expand the placeholder folder. Then we're going to duplicate this 2 more times to make it 3 copies. This is the picture. I will look for the second picture I want. I will replace it right here. I will double click on the placeholder tree to open it. I will delete this one right here. Then drag the last one into the composition. I'll scale down until it fits. And we have this. So we're going to go back to slide 2. Now this is slide 2. So we're going to replace this placeholder 1 with the placeholder 2. But if you look at it here, if you hit U on your keyboard, you will see that this placeholder right here has an animation. So if we simply just delete this placeholder, it means that we will lose the animation and we will need to create the animation again for the new placeholder on this slide 2 composition. I'm going to show you a simple trick or logic to retain the animation while you still replace that. So select the composition, then you also select the placeholder 2 that will replace this placeholder 1 on this composition. Hold down your Option key or Alt key on the window, then drag and drop it. It will automatically replace it and retain the same animation. You see that? So we're going to change some of this text. So we've now replaced the text and the image at the same time, and we retain the same animation we had on the slide 1. So if you go back to the main composition, you will see that we have this now and the second slide coming in. I'm going to change the color of this 90% discount. I'm going to change the color of the stroke. So I'll just scroll up, select the stroke, and I'll change the color. If you want that, you can leave it the way it is. So I'm just going to select a color from the clothes here. So if you come back to this now, this is what you have. You can, if you just feel free to play around with this. So we're going to make changes the same way, following the same step to change the third slide. And now we have all the slide replaced. If you preview now, this is what you have. Beautiful. The next thing now is to create the end card. I'm going to follow the same principle of duplicating and changing of everything to create the end card. Just like we did, it's a very simple step just by duplicating some elements in this and then using it as the end card. So after repeating the same step as I have repeated on this slide 2, slide 3, and I was able to use that to create this end card. So feel free to design your end card using the same principle I have used in this animation from the beginning to the time I started duplicating all I have created. So, and this is what you're going to have. If you require more slides, just feel free to duplicate more slides and then replace the pictures or the products, and then also replace the text. But I'm going to introduce to you an easy way to create more of these graphics. There's a plugin called AEJuice Packet Manager. It comes with a lot of motion graphics that you can use for this type of project. Once you go there, you'll see them right here. There are so many presets you can just drag and drop into your composition. Just change the color and then change the text, and you have it instead of spending more time to create your end card or any other graphics on the Instagram slide. So if you want to have these, you can follow the link in the description. You can also find them in Evato. All links are in the description. This is how you can create an amazing Instagram Reel product promotion animation in Adobe After Effects. If you learned something new on this video, please hit the like button. That will enable the algorithm to suggest this to more people. If you have any question, please feel free to ask me in the comment section, and I'll reply to all questions as quick as I can. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can support me in any way. You can give me super thanks, subscribe to my membership, whatever way you want to support me with. Even if you share the video, that is also a huge support and it is highly appreciated. If you like the video, leaving a comment is all a support. So in whatever way you are able to support me, I highly appreciate you. So until I see you again on the next one, my name is SSB Otaru from Motion Digit Studios.